Good morning. I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Senator Coco Pimentel wants a full caucus to decide when the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte starts. He insists that the impeachment trial can start next month.
The Commission on Elections has introduced new rules. Anyone who wants to conduct a survey must register first to COMELEC. Senator
Win Gatchalian is pushing for legislation to prevent underperforming private schools from receiving government voucher subsidies. This comes amid the ongoing investigation on ghost students. And Pope Francis's health slightly improved despite having a double pneumonia. But what exactly is double pneumonia? House prosecutors slammed Vice President Sara Duterte's Supreme Court petition to stop her impeachment trial, calling it a delaying tactic. Here's the report.
Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel is calling for a caucus of all senators to discuss the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte.
Isang tabi ang kampanya. Priority ang impeachment. That's part of the job description. Kung talagang ayaw nila, aminin namin sa taong bayan na ayaw nila. Ganun siguro kasi. Because if this is really a political question, then therefore it is a legitimate political issue, di ba? For the people.
He urged his colleagues to prioritize the impeachment trial over campaign activities, emphasizing that it is part of their duty. Pimentel argued that waiting until July or after the State of the Nation address would take too long and suggested starting the trial by March. Currently, the Senate Secretary and legal team are drafting the impeachment rules, which they aim to approve when Congress is back in session on June 2. Several lawmakers view Vice President Sara Duterte's move to halt her impeachment proceedings as a delaying tactic.
You will always have parties doing that, delaying the case, or if one doesn't have a case, then they will file such petitions for certiorari to go all the way up to the Supreme Court para lang tumagal.
In her petition to the Supreme Court, Duterte argued that the lower chamber violated the one-year ban rule in the 1987 Constitution. The rule prohibits the House from initiating impeachment proceedings against the same official more than once within a year. But House prosecutors explained that the one-year ban only applies once the impeachment process has been formally initiated.
Para ma-consider po ito na initiated, kailangan na i-file at subsequently na i-refer po ito sa Committee on Justice. Dito po yung sinasabi po nila, yung article, yung una pong tatlong impeachment complaint, ay hindi naman po ito na i-refer sa Committee on Justice. Kaya sa akin pong paniniwala, hindi po ito mag-i-stand yung kanila pong argumento.
They also rejected allegations of grave abuse of discretion when 3 impeachment complaints remained stalled at the Office of the Secretary General until the 4th case was approved. Prosecutors emphasized that the House rules do not specify how long verified complaints can stay with the Secretary General. The guidelines only state that once verified, complaints should be immediately transmitted to the Speaker's office.
Talagang na-comply naman po yung 1/3 requirement, and in fact more than 1/3 pa po. At ito po hindi na first time na nangyari. Nangyari pa po ito nung panahon din po ni Presidente Erap.
Meanwhile, if the Vice President resigns during the impeachment trial, House Prosecutor Bel Zamora believes they can continue trying her over the second consequence of impeachment, perpetual disqualification from public office.
Former Presidential Legal Counsel Attorney Salvador Panelo asserted that Vice President Sara Duterte is ready to face the impeachment case against her. In an interview with Long Conversations Politica All the Way, Panelo said the Vice President has been preparing since November of last year. He also reiterated that there is no legal basis to impeach the Vice President, calling the move politically motivated. Panelo added that it's a strategy to undermine Duterte's chances in the 2028 elections.
She's facing the impeachment courageously, smilingly, competently, and happily.
And happily, ha?
Hindi ba,
Hindi,
napapansin
hindi
mo ba na,
Kapampangan, ano yan, ha? May H, ha?
hindi mo ba
Hindi
na,
apili, ha?
hindi mo ba napapansin, palagi lang siya nakasmile
Yeah,
ngayon
oo.
lately? Tinatawanan niya lang.
Now, some House lawmakers, however, slammed the call to suspend House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Congressman Manix Daribe said this is a mere diversionary tactic to shift public attention away from the real issue that is the impeachment case against the Vice President. Davao del Norte 1st District Congressman Pantaleon Bebot Alvarez has asked the Ombudsman to order the preventive suspension of Romualdez and 3 other lawmakers.
The Commission on Elections will now require all entities conducting and publishing election surveys to register with its Political Finance and Affairs Department. Under COMELEC Resolution number 11117, only pre-registered firms can conduct and release survey results to the public. Existing survey firms have a 15-day grace period from the resolution's effectivity to complete their registration. Survey firms must also submit a comprehensive report to COMELEC within 5 days of publication, detailing funding sources, conducting organizations, survey methodology, margin of error, and providing access to raw data for verification.
And now, speaking of surveys, the Octa Research recently released one on party lists. AXIS topped the poll, followed by 4Ps, Duterte Youth, FPJ Panday Bayanihan, and Tingog. Contradaya last week flagged that all these top contenders either have links to political dynasties or have dubious advocacies. AXIS, for instance, is connected to the Tulfos, while FPJ Panday is led by the son of Senator Grace Poe. Tingog is connected to the Romualdez clan. A total of 155 party list groups are vying for seats in this year's elections.
Let's talk more about surveys and the new COMELEC resolution.
We have Professor Guido David of the Octa Research Group joining us now via Zoom. Good morning again, Prof. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Prof, looking at the survey you released on the party list system, what trends do we see that really stands out? Kasi ang nakikita ko sa mga top, puro mga hindi na talaga representing the marginalized. We have the bigger party lists in the top. So ano ang take mo dito, Prof?
Well, that's a good point, and unfortunately, ganun nga yung nagiging trend na we have to ask the question, is the party list system still upholding yung original intent natin for the party list system, which is to represent the marginalized people? Kasi we have the Congress and the Senate is supposed to represent the people. And that's why we vote them in. Meron tayong representative for each district, for each province, for each major municipality or HUC. And kung may representation na tayo, yun nga, nagkakaroon ba ng duplication of representation? Are we over-representing certain groups and not representing marginalized groups? Like, for example, yung mga, let's say, mga ATAS or yung mga other, minority groups, meron pa ba silang natitirang representation? I think that was the original intent of the party list system, pero ganun pa rin ba nangyayari na they still get the representation or it's just now another popularity vote na those who are popular and those associated with popular personalities like minsan may mga celebrity endorsers, mga influencers, and they will get votes. And yun nga, are they representing marginalized? Maybe some of them are, but I think at some point we have to look at yun nga, yung intent and yung or at least yung party list system, if it's still upholding the original intent of the 87 Constitution.
I mean, you're right there, Prof. Sa bottom part ng survey nyo, doon mo makikita yung mga some of the yung mga tunay na party list. Now, speaking of the bottom dwellers, Prof, we all know yung computation natin for the party list to take seats in Congress. Mayroon certain number of percent ng votes of registered voters kailangan makuha. But sometimes, previously in the last elections, hindi man nangyayari yun. Ang nangyayari sa last elections, kulang ng number of seats. So therefore, kahit hindi umabot ang ibang party list, binibigyan ng upuan. Now, sino ang mga notable sa bottom nakikita niyo, Prof, na possibly, pag hindi na puno ang seats, baka makapasok pa sa mga progressive groups?
Well, that's a very good question. And yung sa bottom, actually, dahil sa margin of error natin sa 3%, yung mga nasa bottom, even those with 0%, 0.1%, they could still get in. Pero may mga, that's a question I can't answer offhand immediately dahil may mga support system sila na hindi ma-reflect sa survey. Let's say yung mga, of course, traditionally, yung mga Makabayan Bloc, etc., they will have their own base of support. So kailangan talaga may base of support para makapasok, even if they're at the bottom of the group. But if those naman na may iba naman, yung base of support nila is regional Di ba?
Yes.
Meron tayong mga nakikita, like ako, Bicol is one of the top. But these are more of regional type of base of support. Parang, okay, hindi naman nila represent yung Region 5, yung Bicol region, but they're all over the Philippines, representing yung mga maybe Bicolanos from all over the Philippines. So now it comes back to being more of a regional type of representation. So yes, meron mga, I rather would not mention mga certain baka sabihin na may
Your
bias ako doon sa may endorsement ako. In fact, I know some of
that's
them
understandable.
some of them have good intents. I've talked to some of these I would like to endorse them nga yung some of the other groups, but yun nga.
Okay. Pero Prof, seeing all of these surveys right now, particularly nga itong party list, nakikita mo talaga na ang laki ng binago ng landscape ng mga party list group natin as compared in the last 10 years, no? Case in point, ang Bayan Muna. 'Di ba? Early 2000 up until 2013 to 2014, lagi silang may mga upuan doon. Pero ngayon wala na, 'di ba? Halos talagang hanging sila sa sinulid, ika nga. What do you think happened there? What were the contributing factors to this kind of change?
Well, Angela, yung mga traditional groups, minsan even the teacher, I think yun nga, nag-change yung mga landscape and na-ease out ito mga party lists which have a certain support na very traditional, and ngayon yun nga nag-shift to something more more modern, yung mga may malakas na presence kanya sa social media or sa online now are getting more support, and that has shifted. And again, comes back to the question, are the party lists still representing what they're supposed to represent?
Oo. Bago nyo po nilabas ang Octa Group itong survey na to, parang 2 weeks ago, meron din nilabas ang Kontradaya flagging these top party lists, sinasabi ng mga merong dubious advocacies or they belong to political dynasties, and yet sila pa rin yung number 1.
Yes, and maybe the COMELEC should look into that. Yung mga, because it's the COMELEC's oversight to look at these yung mga party lists, yung mga tumatakbo. Firstly, yung intent ba nila? Because anybody can write an intent na, okay, ito yung intent nitong party list nito. Pero nagagawa ba nila? Pag titingnan din natin yung mga nasa Congress ngayon, yung mga track record ng ibang party list na ito, nagagawa ba nila? Natutulungan ba nila yung support, yung group na they're advocating to support, or hindi lang din? And then kung ganun, we just go back to the yung parang district party or district congressional representation.
Prof, before we move on to other topics, I'd like to touch on also yung ginawa ni President Duterte during his term by consistently red tagging several traditional party lists groups. Now, do you think ito ang one of the main contributors para karamihan sa kanila ay bumagsak in popularity, and that the youth of today just simply don't see the relevance and are looking at more traditional progressive groups as, komunista sila eh. Do you think may
O
epekto yan?
kontrabulate lang sa
Oo.
gobyerno, parang ganun.
Definitely naka-affect yan. We've seen nag-shift na yung political spectrum since 2016 nung naupo na si former President Duterte. And yun nga, parang somehow medyo na-taint yung certain alliances or certain groups, and hindi na sila masyado naka-recover. And we still see that today na parang medyo hirap sila maka-recover. And I'm not saying it's the end of it, but maybe there needs to be a new shift, because as we're seeing it now, I mean, based on our own surveys, marami rin naman yung mga independent voters. So if they're not, if they're independent and they don't adhere to certain groups or parties, then technically they should be more open-minded to, these progressive groups. Pero yun na nga, baka minsan pag I mean, just like sa marketing, pag may isang brand na medyo tainted na yung brand na yun, parang, okay, ba't ka bibili ng brand yan? Gawa yan sa Bolate or something like that. Then suddenly, di ba, yung parang mahirap na makarecover yung brand na yun.
Right.
Unless maganda yung marketing ng brand na yun, na they can somehow flip that.
Okay. So, kanina nabanggit niyo po, Prof, yung COMELEC. So, I would like to ask na lang po your reaction doon sa COMELEC resolution on registration ng mga sinosurvey o nagpapasurvey for that instance.
Well, yes, Octa Research, naman is a credible organization. We haven't been around as long as some of the other major survey firms, pero we always believe in supporting whatever yung guidelines and yung policies are. So as far as this is concerned, we will abide by the guidelines and yung registration. Of course, and we understand the intent of it. It's to prevent disinformation or spreading disinformation. Lalo na ngayon, in fact, marami naglalabas ng mga fake surveys. Kami mismo, victim kami. May naglabas ng fake na
Kanya-kanya silang survey.
Kanya-kanya. Anybody can say na, may ganitong survey. And then, marami ng, in fact, sobrang dami ng mga survey companies na hindi ko na ma-track down lahat ng mga, mga lumalabas na. Dati, may dalawa lang ako nakita survey companies. Of course, lumabas kami. But, aside from us, maybe may mga nakita ko mga 10 other. And, maybe the COMELEC just wants to, monitor and protect yung pag-disseminate ng information and false.
Idagdag ko lang to, kasi I've always been curious about paano ginagawa ng mga survey companies o paano nila tina-target yung different locations or areas ng kanilang sinusurvey. Like, for example, never pa ako na-survey in my entire life, yung mga ganon. And in this particular survey, sa mga party list na survey nyo sa Octa, which area yung na-survey ninyo, and what was the question pala when you asked when you did this survey?
Yes, actually yung question pinapublish naman namin whenever it's publicly released na survey result. Andun mismo yung question. So usually parang ang line of question is, and may English version, may Filipino version. Here are a few names. Here is a list of party lists, and if the election were conducted today, which would you vote for? Parang ganun. So yun yung it's just fairly a standard question, and ang dun is yun nga, the methodology is naman. Yung methodology namin is very statistical. It's randomly sampled and multi-stage random sampling. So of course, like with any of course, nabanggit ka kanina, yung intent ng, I mean, going back to the COMELEC, the intent is good, but of course we also want to protect mga institutions from overexertion ng when we can see that it can happen in other countries na sometimes the government can overexert itself. And pag maging extreme masyado yung exertion niya, it could lead to loss of freedom of expression
That's right,
and
that's right.
kumbaga,
Yeah.
you're preventing disinformation, but at the same time, in the process, baka we're also limiting yung expression of information.
That's right.
And it can happen din with broadcasting companies, 'di ba? Kayo, if there's government control on what you can say or what you can't say, then it limits our what we can do
Right
and what we can
information.
share with the public. And of course, this could be a concern because even if the current government has good intents on certain laws, we want to project and think into the future. What if a different government maupo, and then
That's right.
they can kumaga, we want to have checks and balances lagi, and that's why we think not only of the current system or of the current government, but we project into the future. What if a different government sits, and then they might, if they sort of tend to abuse this policy or this requirement or this law, then mawawala na yung checks and balances natin, and it becomes
Yeah.
imbalanced.
Prof, touching up on that also, kasi I think COMELEC is coming from certain surveys that have come out that are completely different from the more credible ones like yourself and the other big companies. So parang when they're looking into it, meron specific candidates, they're tailor-making questions that will fit their needs para pag lumabas sa survey, sila ang
Sila yung
out on
number
top.
one.
So my question is, para for clarity lang, Prof, may mga fake na okta na lumabas kasi. I've seen them sa social media. Do you accept commissioned surveys from politicians?
Yes, of course. Well, it could be from politicians. It could be from third party, private organizations. And actually, a lot of yung mga survey results ay hindi naman nire-release sa public because especially commissioned ones. Because yung mga nagpa-commission, they spend money on this data gathering. And kung i-share lang nila sa public yung yung outcome, parang nagbayad sila, but they don't have exclusive access to it. Part of it is they're paying for exclusivity. And pero sometimes, the commission survey result gets leaked, and then it becomes a question of sino yung nagpa commission nito. Baka
That's right.
siya yung connected siya kaya malakas yung candidate. So we understand, of course, the intent of the COMELEC again.
So,
Parang
So quickly lang, Prof. So para malinaw lang sa viewers natin, the intent really of the survey pag pinapa-commission isang kandidato is for marketing purposes para alam
Research.
niya saan niya ilalagay ang pera niya sa campaign.
Yes. It's to guide the campaign
Okay.
strategies. Yun naman talaga. It's for information ng end user. Hindi naman siya generally to be released to the public.
Okay.
Sometimes may mga nagli-leak, lalo na kung maganda yung results
Mind
nila.
conditioning daw, Prof.
Sino kaya nag-leak?
Yeah.
Sino kaya nag-leak, Prof? Sila din?
Minsan,
don't know.
baka sila, baka third party na share nila sa iba, tapos may ibang nag-leak, or baka iba, marites lang talaga, gusto lang mag-share. So may ganun lang naman nangyayari.
Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Professor Guido David of the Octa Research Group. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you and good morning.
Coming up, some schools are allegedly claiming subsidies for so-called ghost students under the senior high school voucher program.
And we continue to monitor the health condition of Pope Francis, who is suffering from double pneumonia. Kumusta na nga ba siya?
Mamaya text ko si Pope.
Well,
Mamasahin ko siya.
Mamaya pag-usapan natin yan.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Now, President Bongbong Marcos calls on the armed forces to ensure peaceful, credible, and orderly midterm elections. During the oath-taking ceremony of the newly promoted generals and flag officers of the AFP on Thursday, Marcos asked military personnel to be, quote, shining examples of how a bagong Pilipino should be. That is disciplined, patriotic, and committed to the greater good for the most significant number. The chief executive also assured them that his administration supports peace, democracy, and the rule of law.
In line with our shared mandate to protect the people and the state, and to secure the country's sovereignty and the integrity of our national territory, the AFP reaffirms its commitment during the Solidarity Pact signing for the 2025 national and local elections.
The administration-backed Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas held a campaign rally in Dumaguete City, Negros Oriental on February 20. The candidates vowed to address issues faced by local farmers, particularly the impact of sugar importation on local produce. They also highlighted the administration's achievements in improving peace and order in the province. The senatorial bets also expressed confidence in winning Negros Oriental in the elections. Negros Island was one of the provinces that delivered a landslide victory for President Bongbong Marcos in the 2022 presidential polls.
Hindi naman siguro mapapahiya ang Pangulo because may mga pangako siya na delivered din naman. So he's very confident also na mabibitbit niya ang alyansa.
Yes, obviously, because the President is endorsing us, and if you will look at the lineup, the 12 candidates of Alyansa, we're confident that the people of Negros Oriental will see the experience and the help that we have given the country, the effort as public servants that we have served.
Nakikita mo yung trend of how both sides are planning their campaigns, no? They're hitting the spots that carried the previous admin to victory the last time. Pero what they're missing out on is you have to remember, nung nag-campaign ng unit team, si PBBM at si VP Sara, when they were campaigning before, magkampi pa sila. Ngayon magkahiwalay. So ngayon, you can see them hitting the same area because they're testing. Kanino ba papanig tong mga balwarte natin na ito? And they're solidifying their base in these areas because traditionally, candidates and groups don't spend money anymore pag hindi mo balwarte. For example, you won't see sila former President Duterte campaign masyado sa Lawag. He will go, pero parang useless effort na
Parang
yun.
ito sila, they went to Davao last week.
Oo.
Pero hindi ganun kaingay eh.
Hindi, kasi hindi ganun kaingay, but naglakas loob sila mag-Davao, it's because hindi naman, Davao City is solid Duterte. Pero yung Davao region is not solid Duterte. Kasi yan ang magiging starting point nila. Kahit mahina sila dyan, they can work their way out to other areas. You have to remember also, you have si Carlo Nograles running for mayor.
Sa Davao.
So they have to hit that area if they want Carlo Nograles to have a chance to take the seat sa Davao City.
From the Duterte.
Yes, oo. They need to be in that area. So, walang choice sila for that issue. But they're hitting usually areas that are strong. Malakas naman ang PBBM admin sa ibang parts ng Mindanao eh. Hindi naman solid Duterte block. But then again, yung Davao City area, parang lawag yan eh. Yung mga talagang untouchable na balwarte na yan eh.
At saka ngayon medyo parang although meron pa rin mga few videos tayo and reports yun, papakita ng mga ilang mga patama ni President Bongbong Marcos sa kalaban nila. Pero right now, at least they were talking about the issues, 'di ba, per region or per area na pinupuntahan nila. Like this one in Negros, yung mga sugar farmers natin doon, 'di ba? It's very important also dahil nangangailangan ng tulong dun sa Negros yung mga kababayan natin. But yun nga, we will see kung saan pa sila mga pupunta kasi talaga ngayon.
Simula lang yan.
Iba't ibang mga candidates eh.
Oo. Pag mag-ano pa daw yan, magwawatak-watak sila.
Of course.
They're going to go on their own campaign trails.
Exactly. But speaking of other candidates.
Yeah, other midterm candidates also continue to woo voters in several parts of the country. You have senatorial candidate Kiko Pangilinan as he delivers a message at the delivered a message at the Iloilo Convention Center on Thursday. Luke Espirito, meanwhile, was at the University of Northeastern Philippines in Camarines Sur for a talk. Makabayans Lisa Masa visited General Santos Public Market to have a dialogue with consumers and vendors. And independent bet Willie Revillame held a motorcade in Lucena and Lipa in Batangas.
Yan. So, ganyan ang ginagawa nila talaga. Well, ganyan naman talaga mga campaign. Puntahan mo, di ba,
Yeah.
kausapin mo yung mga tao. Pero yun nga, ang nabago din ngayon simula nga nung nanalo si President Bongbong Marcos, yung pag-attend ng mga kandidato ng debates. Diba? And we've seen that yesterday. I was in UP Diliman. We conducted with Jervy Wrightson
We were there,
Yeah, we were there, senatorial forum para sa mga kandidato ng Senate. Pero konti lang talaga yung
Alam mo
nag-attend.
alam
Ang mga
mo-
nag-attend, progressive and mga independent candidates.
I understand if candidates don't attend debates, pero they don't attend town hall, yun ang iba. Kasi town hall is the most effective, town hall is the best way to connect on a
Yeah.
personal level with your constituents. Ang problema, nag-set ng precedents ang last election na you can win without going to a town hall. Kasi ang problema, if you're a candidate that is avoiding certain issues, tapos pupunta ka sa isang town hall that has those issues, ayaw mo maging controversial. So ginagawa nila, they'll just hit the ground, isang motorcade, isang...
And they want to be, kung halimbawa, na
playing it
sila,
safe,
top
kumbaga.
12 na sila, they don't want to risk na mag-viral sila ng hindi tama.
Oo.
Diba? So that's why...
ang mga progressive groups naman, traditionally, kasi they are issue-based talaga eh.
Issue-based.
So that's why okay lang sa kanilang town hall. Oo, bagay sa kanila.
So, yun, we will see kung ano pa yung mga gagawin nila in the next
Anyway, pasimula
coming-
pa lang yan. Mahaba pa ang campaign trail.
All right, in other news, senators are pushing for stricter regulations that would bar underperforming private schools from receiving government voucher subsidies. This comes amid an ongoing probe into schools allegedly claiming subsidies for so-called ghost students under the senior high school voucher program. Senator Win Gatchalian said Senate Bill 2911 aims to tighten eligibility requirements for the schools in the program. The bill expands criteria beyond tuition costs and students' financial needs, requiring schools to meet standards on classroom congestion, academic performance, and teacher quality.
Yeah, I know that
Yan.
kasi nagkaroon ng issue din before. I remember yung test the voucher system na hindi naman kinukurakot yung sinasabi, yung amount ng voucher. Ang nagiging problema, yung sino qualified to receive the voucher. So kasi may nagkaroon ng mga issue before na in one household, everyone nilagay sa voucher program, pinag-aral.
Yeah, pero
Nag-aaral
dito
naman
kasi
sila.
dito sa...
These are ghosts, alam
yeah,
ko.
dito sa senior high school, ghost students. Kumbaga,
Hindi, I mean, yung TESDA had the PESO program, also had the ghost students before.
kumbaga parang sinabi dito sa certain senior high school. Ito, 12 private schools ang
Yes,
inimbestigahan because of that issue. Kunyari, sinabi dito sa school A na to, meron silang 20 na students under their CHS voucher
10
program.
lang ang tunay
Tapos
doon.
yung pala, 5 lang. Yung mga ganon. So,
Anyway, to discuss this further, we have Attorney Joseph Noel Estrada, Legal Counsel of the Coordinating Council of Private Educational Associations of the Philippines, or COCOPEA. Attorney, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Angelo and Angela, and good morning to all your viewers and followers.
Yes, Attorney, let's start off. No, ano po yung reaction niyo muna ng COCOPEA po sa panukalang Senate Bill number 2911 that are tightening requirements for private schools with regard to DepEd vouchers?
Well, we also welcome this initiative from our Senate, and we also, of course, support the action of the Department of Education in investigating the 12 senior high school participating in the senior high school voucher program. Gusto po natin kasi maprotektahan yung programa dahil maganda po ito. And we don't want the 12 schools to affect the credibility and the integrity of this government program. Kahit po ito ay 12 schools lamang compared to the 4,000 total senior high schools na participants, ayaw po natin na magkaroon po ng hindi magandang pagtingin po dun sa programa dahil ayaw po natin ito na matigil at marami pong umaasa na estudyante po
That's
dito.
right.
Tsaka sayang kasi yung mga estudyante na deserve nila
Yeah.
na makakuha ng voucher program
Nadamay lang
na ito,
sila.
nadamay lang sila. But sa tingin niyo po ba, attorney, bakit po nagkakaroon ng mga ganitong kaso ng ghost students sa ilang mga private schools na even sabi niyo nga 12 lang sila? Do you think the system is flawed? Yung proseso ay may mali doon?
Siguro po dapat lang tingnan din ng mabuti kung saan po natin pwedeng magkaroon ng tighter measures, stricter guidelines, lalo na po sa pagpili ng mga private schools na maaring mag-participate in the senior high school voucher program. So, quality assurance is very important. Kasi po yung subsidy ay hindi po ito dumediretso sa mga estudyante. Ito po ay binibil po ng mga eskwelahan. So yung pong ano po ang dahilan sa ghost students, marami pong factors. Maaring mistake, maaring negligence, maaring double billing at of course possible din po na merong fraud. So lahat po yan ay dapat tingnan po sa pag-revisit po natin ng mga existing guidelines.
Attorney, you're mentioning na dapat tignan. So does Cocopia then have a plan to start your own investigation? Pwede nyo bigay yung findings nyo po sa gobyerno?
Actually, kasama po yung COCOPEA doon po sa Private Education Assistance Committee. Ito po yung katulong po ng Department of Education sa pag-monitor and validate subsidy beneficiaries. So kami po ay patuloy po kaming tumutulong po sa both DepEd at sa PAC in looking for better ways to quality assure our participating schools in this government program.
Pero attorney, as of now, do you see any faults in the system? You said you're already part of that group, no? May nakita kayong specific faults that contributed to this ghost students?
I think ang isa pong yung ulitin ko po yung sinabi ko kanina na meron po kaming sinusulong na yung quality assurance. So, stricter measures in choosing the private schools who may participate in the government senior high school voucher program. Kasi po sa ngayon, basta meron ka pong senior high school, maaari ka pong magpatupad ng senior high school voucher program. So, meron na rin po kami mga proposals through PA sa DepEd.
And I was wondering nga po kung alam niyo po yung details about this, how did they find out na may mga ganitong eskwelahan na meron silang mga ghost employees, and sa isang eskwelahan na may senior high school program, meron po bang dapat allotted number of students per school dun sa ating sistema?
Meron po, hindi po agad yan binibigay ng DepEd at ng PA na maraming estudyante kaagad. No? So, you have to show kung ilan po yung mga qualified students. At may limit po yan para po ma-allocate pong mabuti yung ating pong subsidies. Kasi hindi po ito, limited po ito. Hindi naman po ito unlimited slots. No?
Yes.
So, baba po, may I think sa umpisa nasa 50 lamang po ang estudyante na maaring mag-avail ng subsidy, at depende po sa pag-implement mo ng program kung maayos ay maaari ka pong mag-request ng karagdagan po.
Doon po sa unang katanungan ko po, attorney, na paano po nila nalaman na itong mga certain schools na to ay may mga ghost students?
Kapag po nagsasubmit na sila ng billing, no? Kasi after a month of enrollment, sinasubmit po nila yung billing statements mo nila sa Private Education Assistance Committee or PAC, at yung PAC po ang nagfo-forward yan sa DepEd. So, yung proseso po na yon ay namomonitor, nababalidate po yung sinasabit ng mga eskwelahan, at doon po nakikita na halimbawa kung meron pong nadoble o kaya naman nagmo-monitor po talaga yung PAC, binibisita po yung mga eskwelahan at nag-spot check kung talagang meron pang mga ganyang estudyante na nag-i-exist. No? So may mga findings po sila, at yan po ay fina-forward po sa Department of Education. So dalawa po yan, yung PAC at saka yung DepEd mismo through the GAS office or Government Assistance Office po.
Okay, I was wondering nga po, is this the first time na may nangyaring ganito? Or may nangyaring ganito na may mga ghost students pala under the CHS voucher program? And is there also a possibility na hindi pa naman ata lahat na iimbestigahan? Baka dumami pa yung number of schools na gumagawa pala nito?
Hindi po ito first time, for sure. Kasi 2015 pa po yung
Yes, since
programa.
we started
So
this.
katulad nabanggit ko, so in the process of validating and monitoring certain schools, kapag po may nakita po doon na certain irregularities or findings, yan po ay ifino-forward po sa DepEd at nire-recommenda po ng PEAC na tanggalin na po sa programa yung mga eskwelahan nito. So may nangyari na rin po ng mga ganyan in the past.
So, nabasa ko po kasi sa report na may mga, yun, tatanggalin nga daw po sa certain, yung itong mga schools na to doon sa programa. Pero aside from that, meron pa po bang ibang mga punishment doon sa eskwelahan na yun kapag napatunayan po talagang meron silang mga ginagawang ganitong anomalya?
Bukod sa pagtanggal po sa kanila dun sa senior high school voucher program, maaari pong patawan po sila ng administrative sanctions po ng Department of Education, katulad po ng pagpapasara po ng eskwelahan. Yan po ay sa kapangyarihan ng Department of Education.
Alright, do you still have questions? Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Thank you for joining us today, Attorney Joseph Noel Estrada, Legal Counsel of Cocopea. Maraming salamat po.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The world continues to pray for Pope Francis's recovery after a peaceful night in the hospital. Here's the report.
Pope Francis is now improving slightly, according to the Vatican. Currently, he has no fever and his blood analysis was stable. The 88-year-old pontiff is undergoing treatment at Rome's Gemelli Hospital, where he was admitted on February 14 due to double pneumonia, meaning both his lungs are inflamed and infected. Francis initially struggled with breathing difficulties for several days. A Vatican official who did not wish to be named said the Pope was not on a ventilator and was breathing on his own. The faithful offered prayers in St. Peter's Square.
Entonces nos dirigimos aquí a visitar y a saber también de su salud, a ver cómo se encuentra. Estamos muy preocupados en México. La gente de México lo quiere mucho al Papa y estamos con él para demostrarle que es muy querido en México y en Puebla.
Io prego per il Papa e sono sicura che ce la farà perché i medici del Gemelli sono splendidi e quindi sta in buone mani e nella mano del Signore, quindi ce la farà sicuramente.
The pontiff's illness is the latest in a long history of health problems he has suffered. When he was younger, he endured severe pneumonia. More recently, he suffered 2 falls and now frequently uses a wheelchair at public events, while Pope Francis continues to recover at the hospital. Many are asking who might lead the Vatican and Catholic Church in the future. There are already a number of well-known cardinals whose names have been put forward. These include Filipino Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. He is typically shown more left-leaning politics, similar to Pope Francis.
Yan,
So we'll continue to pray for Pope Francis' health.
So for hindsight kasi, when Pope Francis became Pope, si Cardinal Tagle was among also the favorites na nasama sa conclave voting.
Yes.
Kasama siya doon, one of the
Saka
favorites.
in-appoint siya, di ba?
After. Nung siya kay Francis na, but we're saying, yung botohan pa after Benedict.
Yeah.
Kasama siya sa voting. And he's very close to Pope Francis to, di ba, sa Caritas nga in-appoint siya as first Asian Pope to be president of that group. So, many are expecting him, and there's another one, even if the Pope heals and he gets too old to govern, just like what happened to Benedict, they might look for emeritus siya, and they might look for another younger one. So para matuloy
that
yung mga
will fulfill the duties and responsibilities.
Kasi may nagsasabi sa Vatican, ang dami na activities na cancel because of his age, and we cannot push the Pope to do a lot of things because he's already 88.
Oo, 88. And he has a lot of yung mga
Injuries.
reforms yung mga reforms na ginawa niya sa Catholic Church. Kaya loved by many yan si Pope. So we continue to pray for his health. Okay, in other news, Gilas Pilipinas absorbed a 91-84 loss to Chinese Taipei in the third window of the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers on Thursday. Justin Brownlee powered Gilas with 39 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds, but his efforts weren't enough to avoid the upset. This marks Gilas' first loss in the qualifiers, dropping their record to 4-1. The national team will look to bounce back against New Zealand on Sunday.
So, ano nangyayari kaya sa Gilas? It's because traditionally, Chinese
Taipei... Hindi ko napanood kasi ito
Chinese Taipei is a team that we can beat easily.
Yeah.
China nga, tinatalo na natin di ba? Mas mahirap nga na opponent ang New Zealand
Mali mo, nag-training talaga yung Taipei to beat.
Yeah, but traditionally, it's not. It's maybe siguro kasi madaming import or I don't know, madaming naturalized player, we don't know. Pero traditionally, we can beat them.
But hopefully they can bounce back na sa susunod na game.
Hindi ko nakita yung lineup baka naman may injured players or hindi sila kompleto.
Pero grabe Justin Brownlee, ilan ang ginawa niyang points? 39.
That means may something na mali sa lineup for him to carry. Usually kasi nasa 20s lang siya and then everyone else scores. Dito mukhang nagbubuhat na si Brownlee on his own
Wala dito si Kai Soto ngayon, di ba?
Hindi ko alam
siya. Alam ko
si Dwight Ramos is in the lineup. In the lineup.
Injured si Kai Soto
He was injured previously but I don't know if he's fully recovered.
But nonetheless, good luck pa rin sa mga susunod na games nila. May ACL si
ACL.
Si Kai.
Well, ACL that takes 9 to 12 months to heal to get back into game shape again.
Okay. More excitement awaits for volleyball fans this UAAP Season 87. Tomorrow, the UST and UE men and women teams will face off at the PhilOil Eco Oil Center. By Sunday, we'll witness battles between UP and Ateneo as well as NU and FEU at the MOA Arena. The UAAP Season 87 men's and women's volleyball tournament kicked off last February 15. As of February 20, NU Bulldogs and FEU Tamaraws lead the rankings for women and men's division respectively.
Go, go, go. Diba? Ano mga favorite team natin, di ba?
Nanonood lang ako eh. Hindi ko alam.
pero ano yan, very exciting. As we know, pinag-usapan natin to last week, yung volleyball, pagdating ng finals yan, hindi ka na makakuha ng ticket.
Marami ng fans ang volleyball.
It's a very fast, very exciting game to watch. Actually, matagal ako before I used to watch that when I was a kid. It's just that wala lang kasing liga na tuloy-tuloy at that time.
Ngayon meron
at least meron na.
Inaabangan talaga ng mga volleyball players.
Hey, it's a Friday pala. Thank you pala, Angel, kanina.
Buddha's Belly, of course, Marjorie Tan, para sa ating dim sum platter.
Meron pa tayo doon nakatago, pero after the show, kakainin namin yan. Meron tayong hakaw. We have...
dim sum platter.
Hanggang kain ka lang, hindi mo alam yung kinakain mo. Terrible ito. Okay, thank you, Marjorie Tan, and to all our viewers who stayed with us throughout the week. For all your comments on Facebook, YouTube, and for those watching on TV, thank you very much. Keep them coming. Next week, tuloy-tuloy po ang balitaan natin at mga views namin and opinions. And of course, we will have several guests for you. And next week is EDSA People Power Revolution anniversary. Diba?
Uy, maraming
may mga reports tayo na
statement ang ginawa ng mga ibang Catholic schools. Suspended their classes.
Solidarity
that's a statement.
Yeah, and then we'll have several guests to talk about several issues, EDSA and more next week. But with that, I'd like to leave you with a quote that hopefully will get your weekend right. The quote goes, "People wait all week for Friday, all year for summer, all life for happiness." A quote from Abhishek Shukla.
I can't wait for Monday para news and views ulit.
Okay. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again Monday. Excited na ako mag-Monday. Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time. Happy weekend.